York County is Maine's second most populated county, with an estimated population of 207,641 as of 2019. It's also Maine's first county, being founded in 1636. Given its age and population, it should be no surprise to hear that many spooky stories are harbored within. Haunted lighthouses, theaters, and so much more. My name is Joe Olette. We're 16 weeks away from Halloween, and this episode is episode 1 of Jumping Frenchman's 16-week Haunted Counties Countdown, York County. We start our voyage on a barren remote island 6 miles off the coast of Cape Neddick called Boone Island. It has seen 3 shipwrecks in its history, the most notable of which was Nottingham Galley, a ship that wrecked on the island on December 11th, 1770. All the crew members survived the initial crash, but 2 died in the aftermath. Struggling to survive, they made the unfortunate decision to resort to cannibalism. That's a story in and of itself for another episode. However, it's not the reason it is in this episode, just a tease for a future one. This story of Boone Island includes a lighthouse and a stormy night. Boone Island light was born in 1855. According to folklore, around that time a keeper named Lucas Bright was appointed, and he brought his wife to the island with him. One cold winter day during a nor'easter, for those who aren't from Maine, a nor'easter is a storm in the northeast region of America with strong winds blowing in a northeastern direction. During a nor'easter, Bright went out to check the tower and keep it lit. Strong winds created strong waves that send large boulders flying. Bright tied a rope around his waist, kissed his wife, and headed out into the freezing cold. The waves making sheets of ice on top of the rocky surface of Boone Island. A strong wave hit Lucas Bright, and he was carried off to sea where he drowned. Having witnessed all of this, his wife Catherine took it upon herself to rescue her husband's body and keep the lamp burning, and she did so for 5 days and 5 nights before running out of fuel and other resources. A group of fishermen went to check the lighthouse, but found no one in the keeper's house. But when they went to check the tower, they found Catherine, suffering from exposure and holding on to her husband's corpse. They brought her and the body to shore, but Catherine died shortly after. Many fishermen claim to see a woman dressed in white on the rocks of Boone Island at dusk, and screeches can be heard from time to time. Some keepers' dogs would run and bark at seemingly nothing. Other keepers have heard knocking on the door, and when they answered, all they could see was a faint apparition of a woman dressed in white headed to the tower. For a bit, let's go back to the mainland to a town called Ogunquit, Maine, a coastal town with a population of 892. Ogunquit translates to a beautiful place by the sea in Abenaki language, and it lives up to that. Don't let the small population fool you. Come summertime, people from all over visit Ogunquit for its oceanfront dining, clubs, art museums, and a haunted playhouse. The Ogunquit Playhouse was established in 1933 and has seen stars such as Sally Struthers, Betty Davis, and Ethel Barrymore, among many others. Many visitors have reported seeing a Revolutionary War soldier, flickering lights, and creepy voices. Unfortunately, I could not find more information on the haunts. However, should you stop by the Ogunquit Playhouse and see a show, you might just get an extra show from the ghosts within. Let us now travel to Wood Island Light, the entrance of the Biddeford Pool and off the coast of Saco Bay. Much like Boone Island, it has seen its fair share of shipwrecks. One of the keepers, Eben Eberson, saved a crew of the Edith Ann, a British brig, from drowning in the year 1865. But the story I'm going to tell you happened 31 years later. This is the story of Howard Hobbs' murder-suicide. Howard Hobbs, a lobsterman, was living in a small house in the west end of Wood Island. On May 31st, he went to Old Orchard Beach with a friend and had a bit too much to drink. One thing led to another, and he was almost thrown into the drunk tank for the night, but got off with a warning. The two slipped it off and went back to Wood Island the next morning, where they began drinking again. A little bit of the hair of a dog that bit you action. This is where things turned south. Frederick Milken was a special officer and game warden. He also just so happened to own the house that Hobbs was living in. He went to visit Hobbs only to find him drinking. He attempted to talk to Hobbs about something, but Hobbs pushed past Milken on his way back to his house. He came out with a rifle. Frederick asked if the gun was loaded. Hobbs assured him, albeit with a laugh, that it wasn't loaded. Maybe Frederick trusts his tenant, maybe he was trying to disarm Hobbs, but for whatever reason, Milken proceeded to walk towards Hobbs, who shot Frederick Milken at point-blank range. Milken's wife saw the whole thing and carried her dying husband to his bed and tried to stop the bleeding. Hobbs, having realized what he had done, made an effort to help as well, but refused and even threatened Miss Milken when she asked for the gun. Miss Milken then convinced Hobbs to go to the lighthouse keeper to get help. Hobbs fetched the keeper, but by the time the keeper arrived at Milken's side, it was too late. Hobbs announced he was going to put a bullet in his temple and went back to his house. A shot was heard, and Hobbs had taken the second life that day, his own. In 2005, after years of creepy voices and moving objects, the Friends of Wood Island brought the New England Ghost Project to Wood Island to investigate. The crew was Ron Kolick, the founder, Maureen Wood, who was the medium, Leo Monfret, who was the photographer, Karen Mosey, who was the RVP expert, and lastly, Dan Parsons, the infrared camera specialist. From the get-go, the medium felt a strong, ghostly presence on the staircase up to the lantern room, and the spirit entered Maureen, and through her, they were able to talk to a spirit who was probably Howard Hobb. You can read all about the incident and more in Haunted York County by Roxie J. Zwicker. We're in this episode in Cape Neddick, to be specific, Bald Head Cliff in Cape Neddick, where a ghost ship sails the harbor after crashing in 1842. On November 30th, 1842, the Isidore launched from Kennebunkport. A crew member named Thomas King warned his 15 crewmates about a premonition he had. They did not heed his words and set sail without him as he fled and hid in the woods. The weather was bad. It was late November in Maine, so of course it was. Ice and snow pushed the ship into the rocky coast of Cape Neddick's Bald Head Cliff, confirming Thomas King's premonitions. Unfortunately, only 17 of the 15 bodies were ever recovered. There are a few grave markers at the Cape Neddick shoreline. Thomas King allegedly ran to Dover, New Hampshire, where he lived out the rest of his life. To this day, many claim to see the Isidore. If you visit Cape Neddick, maybe you will too. You can hear all about the Isidore and the wreck of the Isidore, a song by local artist Harvey Reid. Check it out wherever you get your music. And that will do it for this episode. Please, if you have any suggestions for ghost stories, feel free to send them to me. You can contact the show by following us at Facebook at the Jumping Frenchman Podcast. You can also email the show at neatmooseproductions@gmail.com. Both of those links will be in the description. I also have a Patreon, which will grant you access to the show a day early, exclusive content like behind-the-scenes journals, gag reels, and more. You can also be featured on an episode. The link for my Patreon is also in the description, as well as my sources for this episode. Don't forget to check out Haunted York County by Roxie J. Zwicker for more spooky stories in Maine's oldest county. I will see you next week as we head to Cumberland County. Until then, I love you all and have a wicked friggin' awesome day, bubs. Mwah.